Welcome once again to vetschatshow. Vetschatshow is a live and interactive weekly multi-platform broadcast for both the veteran and non-veteran community. Each hour-long episode addresses issues and topics that impact current and former members of the United States Armed Forces and their families. We provide a positive outlet for veterans to discuss themes relevant to them, such as fitness, family, finance, education, entertainment, and empowerment. And on this week's episode of vetschatshow, we have a very special guest. His name is Danny. Danny, welcome to vetschatshow.
Nice to be here, Trent.
Great. Well, you're right here live at the Bronx Journal on Lehman Radio. And I know that, first of all, we'll give you some opportunity to talk a little bit about your veteran history, but you also have history here at Lehman as well, which is great. So let's start off with the veteran history. Tell us about your background as a veteran.
I joined the Navy during the 80s, and I was in there for about a year and a half. I got real sick and kind of ended up with a medical discharge, but that love for the Navy still beats very hard in my heart, so that's my experience of military experience. Have a lot of pride. My family have served. We have about 5 generations of people who have proudly served in the armed forces.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. And are they in different branches as well, or are they all in
my
the same
dad
branch?
was the Army, 2 uncles that were in the Marines. My son is following in his grandfather's. He's in the Army. As a matter of fact, he's a military police. So he's the family's basically done Army, Navy, and have a brother-in-law. Never forget my brother-in-law. He's in the Air Force.
Okay.
So we have practically all the branches, and we have also a niece that's in the Coast Guard.
Oh, wow. Wow, you're covering the full spectrum in the crowd and the family, and this is a great time to talk about that. You're also part of the Lehman community, and tell us about your association with that.
Yeah, back in the 80s when I was living close to the college here, I ended up coming here and taking up some political science, and it was a great experience. The campus was not as developed as I see it now when I walk around, but it was a great experience for me. My political science political science professor was a great person, very inspirational, taught me a lot about the law and how it really works, partially of New York and Washington.
This is a great place to be. They have so much here within the CUNY system, City University of New York.
Yes.
Many campuses. In fact, there's 23 within the network.
Yeah.
This is only one of them. So if you're looking for education, you're looking for a good place to go, and you're also a veteran, just know that this is a possible place for you as well within the CUNY system. Right now we're at a Lehman in the Bronx Journal Radio, broadcasting live right now on Father's Day weekend and another Feel Good Friday as it is.
Yep.
And we're talking to our special guest here, Danny, and what that means to be a Latino veteran coming off a Puerto Rican Day parade, but also a father. So we're going to hit the heritage part first and delve into that now that we got a little bit sense of his military background. Why don't you talk to us about some of the impact of the Latinos in the armed forces, please?
I kind of have such a good memory of visiting a whole bunch of friends when I was younger, and in every household there was always a frame of someone that served in the military. And you could be Puerto Rican, you could be Dominican, you could be Black American, and there was always a picture of someone proudly serving. The heritage in my family, my grandfather was in World War II, my dad was in Korea, 2 uncles were in Vietnam, and have some nephews as well as some distant cousins that have proudly served in Iraq and Afghanistan. My memory was always seeing that picture and of the flag and the famous frame of Martin Luther King with John F. Kennedy and Robert F. Kennedy. That was the wall in the family. You always had a soldier, and you had your 3 famous personalities of the 60s, and then you always had a flag. So that heritage is very deep in my family.
That's something you see in a lot of households. You're so right. No matter who you are, you definitely know a mother, father, sister, brother, cousin, someone, or someone that knows someone, or someone that knows someone that knows someone in that household. And
Yeah.
it definitely brings you back there. And it wouldn't be home without seeing those trademarks in most households, especially households of color. What do the people in the household say about those members, or the memories of them as they are greeted within the households? What are some of the opinions?
Bringing back memories, I always remembered that soldier coming home, and it was a great party. It was a great celebration, especially when they would come back from war or overseas, and you had that pride. You would always see your grandmother cooking in the kitchen.
Oh, that's something we remember, that food, right? That homecoming meal.
Yeah, that was like everyone wanted to see the cousin, the brother, your dad, and it really takes pride in the memories that I have of that. I remember when my uncle came back from Vietnam, this party, everybody came over to see him, and everyone was hugging, and people were crying. That heritage of family, back in the 60s and the 70s, and even now I see it. I have to admit, when I saw my son come back from boot camp, I was trying to hold up the tears, and I just say, let it go. I mean, enjoy it. He's doing what he wants to do. So there is a lot of pride. At least in my family, there is a lot of pride. I've seen other families that have not been too proud of what's going on, but when they see that son come home, and that son or that daughter in uniform, then things start to change, and you really start to take pride in what that person is representing.
Now, as a Latino and from Puerto Rico, do you have any specific kind of knowledge of any differences between the New York scene and the Puerto Rico scene, about some of the soldiers, sailors, Air Force, Marine, or service members within that? Because you mentioned that you have several generations and several branches. Are they all from New York, or some from Puerto Rico?
I would say 50-50. There was a lot from Puerto Rico. As a matter of fact, I was thinking about my uncle, who was in the Army, and he always has this story that he would always mention, was that he had two names, one in Spanish and one in English. His name was PFC, Ángel Martínez Saldaña in Spanish, but his DI would always call him Angel Martin Sandin. So he would always joke about that, and he was very proud of his time in the service. He was in a special battalion of Puerto Rico that represented a lot of Hispanics and a lot of blacks in the Army. My dad represented here in I don't remember the regiment and his platoon, but he talks very much about his service as well. So there was always pride, and there was always kind of whose group was better.
Oh, sure. Yeah. There's always that rivalry, but when you're at the end of the day, we sit down and we get whatever we gotta get done. That's a very funny story about the names.
Yeah,
and
sardine.
I remember I also worked with some officers and also NCOs and training, and we did experience some units even overseas in Iraq that were from Puerto Rico, and they served as well. And I made great friends for life, and I definitely pledged that I would return back over there and try to reconnect. So this year is my year, actually. I'm going to Puerto Rico. So you're a great guest. At the end of this, we're going to get some orientation, kind of help me navigate around that field. And
you're going to love that island.
Oh, I love it already. I've been there.
Yeah.
I've been there twice, but it was cruises. I got to spend more time there and take all the sights and sounds in as possible. So as this week just happened, we're in the month of June, and we also have the celebrations that are going on with the Puerto Rican Day Parade, Puerto Rican Day festivals, Bronx and New York City. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your involvement with that?
I have a good friend, Evelyn Torres, who ran in the pageant for the Bronx Puerto Rican Day Parade. And I saw the hard work that the girls did to prepare all this. And I had the opportunity to share. She invited me over to see the final dinner of the people that worked. And you really come out of that parade really appreciating the hard work that these people do to get this done every year. The work that's there, how it's done for the Bronx, and then I also had the opportunity to participate this year in the National Puerto Rican Day Parade, and you get that special pride. You know, you're walking down Fifth Avenue and you see everyone screaming and the flags waving, and had the opportunity to see some sailors that were there, some soldiers that were there in uniform, and you know, you get that pride. You feel that. You know, you kind of wish that the Puerto Rican Day Parade and other parades could last all year round, because you come out of that with such pride.
And there's a big population of Puerto Ricans in the Bronx in particular. In case some of the listeners don't know locally, they probably do know, since there is so much culture happening right here locally in the Bronx. But it really is a big deal in the Bronx here. Yeah. And celebrated heavily, not only in the Bronx, throughout New York City, and as well as in Puerto Rico. I guess they may share the heritage with a lot of the newspapers and outlets and media, what have you. So what is the impact of this kind of coverage on the Bronx and on Puerto Ricans, and specifically with the culture-wise?
I've been living in Puerto Rico for the past 25 years, and you kind of see the parade from the TV, and you're like, oh, yeah, look, they're celebrating. And you wonder, is it truly this happening? Are you getting that pride back? And when you come here and you participate and you see the crowds and you see how grandmothers dance and you see how people wave and all the kids are smiling, and you see other cultures coming in to share your pride, you know, you really say, okay, yeah, I'm proud to be a Puerto Rican. And you just see that. You can honestly see that. I recommend anyone that is either in Puerto Rico, has never been to New York, come on down to the Bronx or come to the National Puerto Rican Day Parade and really share that heritage. If you're a soldier, yeah, come on down and really enjoy that love that everyone just shares at that moment. That's I can tell you that was a great feeling Sunday. Yeah, at the end of the parade, yeah, my feet hurt, but my heart was really open, and just to see everyone having a great time, that was just beautiful.
So what kind of things can you do? You said your feet hurt, so probably you were marching.
Yes.
You're doing more than, I guess, waving a flag, or maybe your feet were hurting from dancing salsa. Who knows?
Yeah, that was the funny thing. I was supposed to just stand in had a seat in the stands, and the good friend of mine basically says, come on, we'll walk it. And we started out on 44th Street and walked it, and you have the flag and you have the rhythm, and you really get emotional about it when you see all these people and you start to look at all these faces, and you're like, oh, wow. And one of the big things for me was to see the big flag. I mean, the Puerto Rican flag, which was covered practically the whole street. And you're like, wow, you know, there's still a lot of pride about being Puerto Rican. And that was good. That was a good experience.
This was your first year doing it? Or have you done
no,
it some years in the
I
past?
did it way back. I think, back in the 70s when I was younger. But I had moved to Puerto Rico. I had been 25 years living in Puerto Rico, working there in pharmaceutical companies. And you would always see that, you know, basically the second weekend of June, you would turn on the TV and you want to see the parade. You want to see all the cops. You want to see the soldiers. You know, you want to see your soldiers walking down. So
that's a good point with the soldiers. Is there anything that you thought that could be, from your impressions, in terms of the military and integrating with the parade? It's always great to see them, but there's so many soldiers out there, and, you know, I think they should definitely be highlighted, incorporated into parade, as I'm sure there were. But give us some feedback, because I didn't actually go this year on the type of presence that the military had, and what was your opinion of it?
Yeah, I wasn't able to attend the Bronx Puerto Rican Day Parade because I was traveling, but the National Puerto Rican Day Parade, being a participant, walking or marching, one of the things that I kind of missed was seeing the armed forces, the soldiers walking and marching, seeing our New York finest, the firemen, the policemen, and I came to realize that, that's one of the things that you always look for in a parade, and I kind of hope that this year and the following year and whatever years that keep going, we have representations from our soldiers, our sailors, New York City policemen, the firemen. I know that in one way they're serving once again by marching and showing us that they're there for us. But I like for all the soldiers and sailors to understand that you guys marching there, we kind of take that pride that you're walking down that route, that parade. So it was a good feeling. I kind of would like to see it more.
As so would I, and I could understand there's two sides to that coin. As
Yeah.
much as we love to see them, I also add this caveat that we know that you're out there. We know that a lot of the police, the firemen, the medics, the people covering, the correction officers, all of those people serving. A lot of people are in paramilitary status, meaning they may be citizen soldiers. They may be service members of the armed forces, but they're doing their civilian job and they can't take the time to wear both hats at the same time. You can only have one. And as working and, being able to be a family person as well and participate, that might be the uniform of the day that they have to wear. The other part is that some people have provided feedback on, the presence of a lot of militaries. Let us remember that a lot of the people, service member in the military, are still serving. So
Correct.
they're not actually around to be as part of these parades or fairs as much as we would want them to be. I certainly want them to be there. I certainly want them to be there all the time. And it's important for them to have a presence.
Yes.
But let us remember that many of them are still out there serving. So we're in support of you. We recognize you. We honor you. If I got to wave a flag or a banner or carry one in your honor, I certainly will. And I'm
Definitely.
sure Danny will as well. And hey, if anyone's out there, elected leaders, people that organize parades, hey, it's important. It's important that we show them that we still need them, our veterans. We appreciate their service. And even in our time of celebration, we remember them and we honor them, even those that have fallen in the service that share that heritage. So that's enough of my speech and monologue. And because, I'm very passionate about it.
I agree with you 100%.
And it's important. It's important to know the heritage and the legacy and what that makes. And for a lot of the younger generation, they may not know as much of the heritage or history. You having a certain perspective and having come from Puerto Rico, maybe you can share a little bit about the history and the heritage of the culture for people that are here in the college area and people in the community that may not know.
Yeah, far back as I can remember, Puerto Ricans have always been in an active role in the armed forces, more the Army and the Marines, but they've always been there. I cannot imagine one family member that has not been. There's always someone or someone else that that their brother or their sisters in the armed services. It's taken a lot of pride. There's a famous 65th Infantry in Puerto Rico that basically they fought gallantly, and they represented so much the United States and as well as the Puerto Rican people when they fought. I think that the heritage, as well as knowing that you have someone proudly serving, you look at the news in Puerto Rico and you see the groups of the National Guard and active members of the armed forces going, and they're separating from their family. They're giving the ultimate sacrifice to go out to Afghanistan, to Iraq, to the new theaters of what the United States is representing and defending. You look at it and there's still a lot to do, but you have to take into account that you do have citizens that really represent what the armed services or the armed forces is all about.
And they have you just mentioned, I'm going to pass this over to you, but I actually have it on a Facebook, and I have, if you check out Trent Love on Facebook, there's something for the 65th Infantry Regiment, and I'm going to pass it over to Danny, see if he's familiar with this very monumental tradition of service and can recap some of the highlights that the unit has been recognized for.
I mean, when you look at it, 65th Infantry Regiment, the Borinquenos, 256 Silver Stars, 606 Bronze Stars, 2,771 Purple Hearts. You look at these people and you understand what it's really all about. One of the experiences that I had in the Puerto Rican Day Parade, I had the opportunity to meet a man. He was 82 years old, and he had his uniform on. He was in Korea. And you should have seen how this man looked in his uniform. And he was very proud. He was proud of the Puerto Rican Day Parade, and he was proud that he had served in the Army. And it just carried over to his granddaughter. As a matter of fact, I'll show you a picture later, because I took a picture of him. And
Great.
it was just great.
Yeah, it's important to know, especially the younger generation coming up, that you come from a legacy of service, a legacy of contributions in these armed forces, and that should be remembered and celebrated more than just the month of Latino heritage year round, because it's not Black history, it's not Latino history, it's American history.
That's correct.
So it's important, and that's the time to stand out and be proud and doggone it, put on that uniform and honor those people and let them know how much they're loved and needed and what it means, because sometimes they need to hear that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I one of the things I remember so much about Puerto Rican, which I cherish, is when you go on post to the PX, and you see all the generations that have served. And they'll go to Fort Buchanan, Camp Santiago, and you see these people, and they stand tall, they stand proud, and they deserve our respect, our admirations.
As rightfully so. And on this weekend also, we're going to transition on a half hour to a lot of the issues that deal with not only as a veteran serving in the military, but also, since this is Father's Day weekend coming up, we're going to talk about what it means to be a father and a father veteran. What's your opinion on some of those issues in terms of issues impacting veterans around this holiday?
Yeah, first of all, I just want to wish them a great, happy, spectacular, special, happy Father's Day to all the veterans and all the active members in the armed forces that are serving the country, and they're not going to be here to celebrate. We were talking about this a little bit earlier. We should do just a moment of silence or a moment of scream where we can just say thank you for being a dad and thank you for serving this country. I see that now it's so important to have a dad. And if you have a dad in the service, you really need that person. Mothers have done a great job, but dad's important as well.
That's right. Well, we won't forget who we came from, and we salute our mothers. Where would we be without them as well?
Definitely.
But we also need a father, and as some of the listeners know, I'm also part of a Fathers and Families Coalition of America, and this is a very timely discussion because I'm going to Puerto Rico for a conference on fathers and families. Why? Because exactly what Danny said, we need to honor also those fathers overall that are continuing to do good work, continuing to be there for their children, overcome obstacles. Some of them may not be physically present because, like we just mentioned, they may be serving, especially our veterans that are still out there, but they still love and care for their children and love their families and provide for them as well. And this is a very special time to remember them. whether they're physically here or not, because they're always there with us in spirit, and we want our veteran fathers to know that we do care about you. We love you, and we miss you as well. Overall, so if no one else tells you that, I will. Trent Love tell you, yeah, man, I love you guys. Your fathers, you're awesome. Keep doing the great work that you're doing, serving the country, and we honor you this weekend.
Definitely, we just take a moment, all the listeners, all the children, even the guys who are serving. If you can send a note to your dad in the States, get out there, give him a hug. I mean, give them an emotional hug, send them an electronic hug, do anything but just get these dads and get them feeling right about what they do every day.
And even I'm going off of the expanded definition of a father. It could also be a father figure, because I've had many mentors that were father figures to me. I come from a time and place where you had several people in a community. If you wasn't doing the right thing, they might have not have been your father, but they certainly gonna, point you in the right direction and let you know what you should or shouldn't be doing. And that's important too, because there are many people that may not have a father physically living or active, or their biological father may not play that role that he's not, for whatever reason, not playing, but there may be someone else that is a father figure that's stepping in there, and we honor and celebrate that person as well, because they're playing a very important role to be there for the family and support the children. What do you think about that?
Yeah, personal experience, my grandfather was our father figure. He was the patriarch of the family. He always had a right to, straighten us out when he had the opportunity. We have uncles that will always been there. Right now, the patriarch of my family is my uncle, and I appreciate and I adore that man. I always think of him because he's basically the last patriarch. Now it's going to be our generation. But the generation before that, they were always hardworking. They always had time to, spend time with the kids and stuff like that. Uncles, neighbors. There was always a neighbor in the neighborhood that you respected, and if he saw you doing something out of place, he would tell you, and then probably tell your parents. The father figure's not. You just can't say it's just that. I can see. I still remember neighbors that always made sure that we did things right.
As well as role models and
That's
mentors.
Correct. That's correct.
That have helped us bridge the gap as well.
Yes. Yeah, I personally had a mentor who I look at that man and, he's passed away, but there's times when I kind of miss him and I need that mentoring. His way of thinking was very clear and concise,
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, important. They're very important to community for the child's development, and it also goes to the way that a boy becomes a man as well, in the rearing and the making of one. We had a conversation earlier. We're just going to go back to that for a second as an aside. Mother's Day and women, we commend you, like I said, but women are very progressive in collecting the resources, and they have a greatly celebrated Mother's Day, and by no means should Father's Day be discounted, but there's certain rites of passages that we could do a better job as fathers too, in celebrating our children to become more positive fathers and role models. For example, rites to passage, other than a bar mitzvah, when a young girl becomes a woman, she has a great Sweet 16, and that's beautiful. But as men, we may not have as much of an official ceremony, like I said, other than a bar mitzvah or of a coming of age when you're 18 years old, other than, don't get in trouble, this one's going to stick.
Yeah.
And I think we should do celebrating that rites of passage a little bit more, so we can celebrate the legacies of being a man, and also being able to honor that other step that we take into the joy of being a father. It's only natural.
Yeah, I think when you talk about that rite to passage, being born and raised in the Bronx, I don't remember any rite of passage. You hit 18 and either you went to the armed forces or you continued on to either college or technical school. Thinking right now, only other culture that I can think of is the Maasai warrior. When their kids come of age, they have that rite to passage. Mm-hmm. And maybe we need to have some of that right now mm-hmm. and get some kids off the street that we can show them, get some mentoring from them and stuff like that.
Right. And I really feel that we're heading in a good direction. This is my personal opinion. And I do have, everyone's entitled to one. I think that within the president, Barack Obama has definitely noted that a lot of the ills of societies are faced or coming out of the systematic problem of fatherless homes, fathers not being involved in the family for whatever reason, no fault or blame being here, but it's time that we put all of that aside and just work towards preserving the family, not just, a single parent, but the whole collective unit for the benefit of the children, because that's really what's going to create the growth, in my opinion, for the future strength of the United States, is to preserve the family and keep the children there and give them something to do. As Danny mentioned, we're in a college campus, and it's amazing to see how many females are on the college campuses. And it's not just here. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. You could go to any campus all across the United States and see that there's not as many males going to college. And college might not be for everybody, but as Danny mentioned, there's also technical school, and there's also the other options of the military. We just have to find a way to keep them connected. Yes. What's your opinion on that aspect of the educational?
I think that right now there's got to be some concern and some real good thought on how to keep our young men actively in positive roles. Do we need more mentors? Yes. Do we need some help from the government? Yes. We want these kids to grow up right. We want these kids to be good men. We want these kids to be good fathers. And if the military does that, I'm in agreement. Yeah. If the college is willing to help us out, more than welcome. We need to get our boys, instead of just thinking high school and that's it, it's there are cultures that say, no, it's college, it's work, it's mentoring, community service. I'm a firm believer, we have to be responsible for our young, and the young have to be responsible for their future.
And we depend on that, because the future we're relying on today's generation. The future is literally in their hands, and we're very much dependent on you and your success, because we will be in a community as well. So we'll do whatever we need to do to support our up-and-coming youth. And see, as two fathers, we're not even here talking as much about fathers. We're talking about our children and families, because that's really what it's about.
That's correct.
And also the conversations that will be happening, coincidentally or incoincidentally, will be happening in Puerto Rico following this broadcast on a Friday, on the Monday of the third week of June, will be Fathers and Families Coalition of America National Regional Conference hosted in Old San Juan in Puerto Rico, where we'll be discussing these issues for our family and our children in the United States, in Puerto Rico, and also some initiatives and ideas that we can improve on dealing with our veterans and connecting the gap to be able to do just that. And it's an important conversation. It's all timely for our Puerto Rican parade weekends, but we're also going to have this kind of conversation. So is there anything else that maybe you might want to add to the people of Puerto Rico, because this broadcast is going to go out there too, that you can add that would help Puerto Rican families and mothers? We can't do it without you. We need everybody's help. We're all in this is a family situation. It's not about fathers or mothers. We need mothers' help as well. We're partners in this because it's about the child.
Yeah, I'm going to say it in Spanish. Es importante el papá en las relaciones del hijo o hija. El crecimiento es necesario que tenga un papel de papá cerca de él. I'm just basically saying that, yes, it is important for the development of the child to have a father or a father figure doing some mentoring for these kids. It'll help them grow. They'll see life in a different way. The mothers are great. I mean, there's nothing you can say wrong about a mother. I am so impressed with so many Puerto Rican women, Hispanic women that are basically, they never give up. They never give up. They're there for their children. They're there for the graduations, the days they're sick. I think it's about time us as men and as fathers, we have to play that same role. We got to be there when they're sick. We got to be there when they're doing good. We got to be there when the baseball game. We got to be there when they graduate from boot camp. We just got to do it. You know, it's not. We don't have the time to think about this and redesign ourselves. Let's just be family. You know, dad's important.
Absolutely. And as I mentioned, we couldn't get it done alone. And from my experience with the organization, going back to them again, Fathers and Families Coalition of America, what I've noticed is the organization's name is Fathers and Families Coalition of America. However, from my experience, there's a lot of women that are involved in these conferences, which is a great sign of it being very progressive and true to really what it's about. Because if you are for family and for children, it would not just be one or the other. It would actually be both, because both really need to play a vital part of that conversation to build a healthy family and work towards doing what's best for the common interest of the child. And you don't need necessarily a lot of money. I know we're going to talk about some kind of roles and expectations sometimes as a man, or sometimes within certain communities, especially communities of color. It's a little bit hard because, and this is no excuses time, doesn't mean it shouldn't be done, but as a male, we also sometimes feel pressure with the financial contributions and holding up the family in that kind of way, because as a man, that's part of who we may feel tied into in our identity. Do you want to talk about perceptions of that and the stress that work or lack thereof may have on a father's ability to play the kind of role that he needs to play in the family?
Yeah, it's my opinion that, you know, a dad's not a dollar figure. You know, a dad is there for the first walk, for the first pamper change, for the first baseball game, for the first ballet recital. Dad is there. And I don't know if it's the government that has done this in the sense that father figures, specifically single dads, have to be there economically, but they don't suggest they be there for the love, for the spiritual, for the mental. I've seen friends that after a while they don't see their kids because it's all dollars. What I feel on that, I think that it's time to change that image. Dad should be there for the homework. Dad should be there for a Sunday Mass if you believe in going to church as family. We need to go back and see where we kind of veered off on Dad's role in the family. My personal opinion, there are moments in my life that I still miss my grandfather, and I kind of think about my dad. So, yeah, it's important. I'm so glad that that organization you're telling me is so active, and they're going to be in Puerto Rico. You're going to have a great time, but I know that you're going to be productive, and you guys are going to come out with some great ideas out of that meeting in Puerto Rico.
I am definitely looking forward to that. And I'll put it out there, this is not the only organization, I'm sure, that's doing that. And if more do it, hey, great. I would love to know about it. Write into vetschatshow. You can see it online, www.vetschatshow.com, or you can email me Trent Love at vetschatshow@gmail.com. If you know any other resources or organizations that are doing such, I'm just highlighting a couple that I know of under my short list. So yes, it's great work. It's important work. It's timely work, and it's all in for the timing of Father's Day weekend to have these national town hall meetings, and ways that we could continue to build and grow within the community for the veteran and the non-veteran community. So we have our guest here, Danny. He's been talking to us quite a while about several things, about just recapping in case you're just tuning in. He is a veteran. He was talking about his involvement in Puerto Rican Day Parade, his experience as a veteran, issues as a father, and we were just recently talking about some of the activities in Puerto Rico in terms of the conference that's dealing with fatherhood. But as I mentioned before, we're going to go back to the culture. I would like to know a little bit before our time runs out about what is there to do in Puerto Rico. As I'm in New York, like I said, I've only been there 2 times, so please educate me. Where should I go, or what are some of the things I can do when in Puerto Rico that you would be good to do?
There's so many things. We're probably going to need another hour or so, but visit El Morro, which is basically the fort in Old San Juan. Walk around Old San Juan. That's romantic. See the music, the museums, the beaches. If you can get on a motorcycle, ride around the island. There's so many activities. There's many activities that have been adopted from here, like bowling, baseball. You can just look at towns. Puerto Rico is just not San Juan. Puerto Rico is Ponce, Ay Bonito, Fajardo, Rincón, Aguadilla, Guayama. And you go to each town, and it has just a special flavor. It is a small gift from God on this earth. The beaches are beautiful, the people are beautiful, the culture is beautiful. If you get the opportunity to see the different types of music.
Sure. Talk about the music. Talk about the salsa, and the food, too.
Yeah, the salsa is spectacular, the dancing. I had the opportunity to see a movie called Mambo to Hip Hop, which was great. It had the impact of Hispanics as well as Black Americans in the Bronx, and how this hip hop came about and where the rhythm came from. Salsa has developed originally from Cuba and basically went to Puerto Rico, and Puerto Rico did its own style. Then it came here to New York, and New York just took it and went completely up to space with the salsa. You also have the impact of merengue from the Dominican Republic. These have all rhythms from basic rhythms from Africa, and it's such a beautiful mix. It is something that you're going to enjoy if you get to hear the music. If you go to one of the towns that they're having their fiesta patronales, where they have the music and they have the food. The food, I don't even want to go there.
Oh, please do it. We're all foodies at heart.
Yeah, we're going to gain.
I cannot not eat over there,
get some chicken and rice and beans, and you get your churrasco steak, your frituras, your alcapurria, your pasteles. It's so rich in food that it's you're going to gain some weight.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm ready. What about some snacks and some cakes or some pastries?
They have some beautiful pastries. When you're out in Puerto Rico, if you get an opportunity, do you know where you're going to be staying at?
Old San Juan, it's in that area.
Okay.
Around the Sheridan. But I understand that they have quite a couple other places to go, Marriott, a couple other local places. I understand that, so if I get a motorcycle, I guess I could get around.
Yeah, rent out a car or get a cab to take you. The Marriott has good dancing if you get an opportunity on Wednesday or Thursday. Isla Verde, they have some nice little restaurants that are right off the beach. Piñones, where it's all fried food and good drinking and good music and good people having fun. You can enjoy that,
I can't wait, and that's great.
Yeah.
I am going to make the conference, but, hey, I gotta
Well, the
enjoy and
conference
see the culture, right? So
the conference ends at 6, so yeah.
and I have more days other than that. So
Yes.
putting it out there, yes, I will be enjoying Puerto Rico in full with my cameras and everything else. So I'm gonna
Yes.
come back with lots of pictures. I'm sure that they got some nice sunsets and sunrises as I like
Yes.
to watch.
You go to the western part of the island, Rincon Beach. The sunset there is spectacular. Just it's like an orange sunset. Puerto Rico, being born and raised in the Bronx, you kind of appreciate when you go there. And the first time I went there as a teenager, I could appreciate what Old San Juan is, what Caguas is, what Calle is. It's a different type of environment. It changes constantly. The people are great. The schools, University of Puerto Rico is great. Yeah, you just see things there, and if you have an opportunity, if you can see the sports, you'll see how people get so wrapped up around their sports. So it's a good place to go. I have no regrets about living there.
So I'm gonna have opportunity here. I'm gonna get the best of both worlds here. So
Yes.
Danny's oriented me here for my quick vacation that may turn into a staycation. Who knows? Who knows? So if you don't see me for a little bit, you'll know why. But in honor of Father's Day and our closing couple of minutes, I know that you have a special message and a greeting for our fathers, and Soldiers Greeting for Father's Day will allow you an opportunity to give that greeting. And if you can give that message for us in English and in Spanish, because this broadcast will also go out to Puerto Rico to Father's Day message.
Yeah, humbly, I want to take this moment and all our soldiers who are actively serving, all our soldiers who are here, who are abroad as well, all our veterans. Happy Father's Day, guys. You've represented this country. We are so proud of you. En español, feliz Día de los Padres. Te reconozco que ustedes están para este país, para Puerto Rico, para República Dominicana. Las personas que están de soldados, le digo una vez más, de corazón, feliz Día de los Padres.
That was wonderfully said. I'm going to come up with I have a closing, probably Father's Day poem if I get an opportunity to get to it. But in the remaining couple of minutes, I wanted to give you another opportunity to add anything that you haven't added already that you would like to say in terms of any shout outs, thank you, information, how we could get in contact of who you are and what you do, whatever you might want to say for another couple of 3 minutes.
Yeah, just want to give a great shout out to Don, my brother-in-law, my son Jonathan, my cousin who's serving, Eddie Torres. These guys are there, man. They're doing it. They're doing it every day. They're doing it for themselves. They're doing it for this country, and they're doing it for their family. And I just want to take out the moment to say, hey, guys, we really do appreciate you. We are very proud of you. And all the gentlemen that I saw in the parade, the soldiers, the sailors, that they went out and they spent a Sunday looking at the Puerto Rican Day Parade, and I saw them in uniform. Guys, thank you. Thank you.
I just wanted to mirror on that and just let everybody know that service is greatly appreciated. And we honor you. We honor you and your service, your sacrifice, and your contribution. And we'll be thinking of you, whether you're actually here or still serving abroad. We will remember each and every one of you this Father's Day. And we'll be celebrating you this weekend, honoring you this weekend, and thinking of ways that we can help the families to continue to work together now, in the future, and forever here on vetschatshow. So that's all the time that we have for today. Here on vetschatshow. I'm going to close everybody out and leave us with a piece of poetry that I have for Father's Day, with a special poem entitled just that, for Father's Day, Superheroes, because that's exactly what you are to me. Thank you for listening to today's episode of vetschatshow. I'm your host, Trent Love. Remember to tune in every Friday here at the Bronx Journal Radio from the hours of 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. to hear more on issues concerning our nation heroes and veterans. And we're closing out with today with Trent Love, and our special guest, Danny. Thank you to our audience, our guests, and our staff here at Vets Chat Show. We love you, and we'll see and hear from you next week. Take care. Thank you. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. No, it's D-A-D. That's right. The greatest honor that can be bestowed upon any man on earth is being a D-A-D. Now that should be seen as something special, especially on Father's Day, but depending on the situation. You see, sometimes they call us deadbeats. Damn them. Sometimes they call us heroes. And yet, at other times, maybe for a chosen few, superheroes. Yeah, real superheroes, living here and now amongst us. It's D-A-D. But even superheroes need love. After all, we're still only humans. We make mistakes. We fall down, we get up, we fall down again. We do the best we can with what we have. We're just ordinary people doing extraordinary things. But everything has a cost, you see. The price for freedom is never free. We may never get credit, nor fortune, nor fame, but our love for our children is always the same. So here are my words. If I ever cause pain, I'll say that I'm sorry. And let's start again. I'm sorry. Get your game faces on. Get your game faces on.
Ready, begin. 5, 4, 3.
Audio sync.
2, 1.
1, 2, 3. How could I forget about you? How could you forget about me? Made me spend too much time doing things that I couldn't see. You were such a part of me. You clothe me, let me have, send me off to school. That's what a father is supposed to do. Tell me what you're doing. I didn't come to leave me to. I wish you did it 'cause you want to. Forget about your future's waiting on you. Let's do all that we do. Stop wasting time. All life passes us by. This is our day. My man Big B. Hey, son Bush, how you doing? What's going on, no fellas? Basically, how we got a roof over our heads. You know what I mean? You go for a minute, man. You being locked up and all.
Yo, what is he talking about, man? Basically, you know, how we got a roof over our heads, this door in our house, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, that old provider speech, man.
Son, don't come in my house and disrespect me. Don't do that.
Disrespect?
Disrespect.
Disrespect?
Nah.
Let him go. 2 years I was locked up, man. 2 years. No visits. Nah, I'm good, man. Yo, why you protecting me, man? Yo, Pop ever say he loved you? Bird captain of the basketball team, him in the end of your games? Release? Nothing, right? I can't say nothing. That's all he does. All he does is provide. Yo, watch this. Pop, say you love me, man. Nah, I'm good, Bird. Don't worry, I'm good. Yo, say you love me, Pops. Come on. You can't, right? Nah. It's cool, though, man. See, I'm gonna get my love in the streets like I've always been doing. Yo, I'm out, fellas. Yo, be safe.
Stay up, man.
Yo, deuces, Pops.
Son, Bush, come back.
Yo, Butch. Man, y'all gotta understand, man. Y'all got 2 jobs. So you gotta provide for them. Coach got his back. Y'all gotta do the job, right? Shoes on your feet. Y'all gotta do the job, right? We gotta do it, man. We gotta get the stuff we need to survive. Just listen.
I'm sorry. I'm doing better this time. I'm sorry. Responsibility. I'm sorry, yeah. You can count on me. I'm sorry. You can count on me. You can count on me. I'm sorry. I'm the better this time. I think I told you. I'm sorry. Do you forgive me? Do you forgive me? I'm sorry. I'll be better next year. I'm sorry. Do you listen to me? No. I'm sorry. You can count on me. You can count on me. Count on me. You can count on me. You can count on me. You can count on. You can count on. You can count on me.